In the old stone chapel of St. Aurelius, nestled deep within the misty forests of Raven Rock, Father Darius was considered a holy man of unshakable discipline and divine wisdom. A towering figure with silver-threaded hair, piercing eyes, and a voice that carried like thunder through stained glass windows, he commanded not just respect, but something closer to fear. Unbeknownst to the devout parishioners, Father Darius lived two lives, one as their spiritual shepherd, and another as a hidden vessel for an ancient power rooted in the dark web of the Illuminati. 30 years ago, after a brutal war left his family cleared except his son and his faith shattered, he was approached by a man cloaked in black robes during a silent retreat in Rome. The man offered him true power, not the fleeting comfort of prayer, but control over minds, health, time, and even death. But it came at a steep price. Every decade, the pact demanded a seed of his flesh and the life it bore. The Illuminati called it the rite of reversion, a twisted ritual that ensured the holder of the mark of Tammuz retained youth, strength, and unearthly influence, by sacrificing a child that shared his blood. Darius resisted at first. But as his miracles began to grow, healing the sick, commanding storms, seeing glimpses of the future, his doubt crumbled. With each passing year, his sermons grew more fiery, more prophetic. People traveled from nations away to seek his touch. But behind the velvet curtains of the confessional, his sins festered. His first victim was Anna, a young choir member whose voice could lull angels to sleep. She'd come to him in innocence. 9 months later, her cries were swallowed by the cold stone walls of the monastery catacombs. Months passed. No one suspected. He moved towns, changed his name, became the miracle priest of Raven Rock. Each time a woman bore his child, the same pattern followed: vanishing women, unexplained deaths, and deep woods that swallowed secrets whole. But all changed when Lilith was born. She was his 13th child, and unlike the others, she survived. Her mother, a wanderer named Mara, had escaped before he could perform the ritual. She raised Lilith in secret, hidden in the ruins of an abandoned abbey. The child grew up hearing whispers, echoes in the wind, dreams of blood and fire, visions of her father's sins. At 17, she returned to Raven Rock with one goal: to end the curse. She became a novitiate under Darius, hiding her identity. She watched the patterns, studied his grimoires, waited. On the night of the blood moon, when the Illuminati would arrive to observe the 14th ritual, Lilith struck. She lured Darius to the sacrificial chamber below the chapel, lit with the eerie red glow of ancient glyphs. The Illuminati stood robed and silent as she revealed her true name. Father Darius stared in horror. He had thought she was dead. "You eliminated 12 of your children," she hissed, voice echoing with power. "But I am your 13th. I lived. And I have come to end you." The mark of Tammuz pulsed with dark energy on his chest. The Illuminati screamed for blood. Darius roared, no longer a man, but a vessel of something ancient and monstrous. Shadows poured from his mouth. His eyes bled black tears. But Lilith was prepared. She bore a dagger forged from silver and ashwood, etched with her mother's dying breath and consecrated by fire. They fought amid chanting cultists and collapsing stone. Darius, with the strength of demons. Lilith, with the rage of the Forsaken. In the end, the dagger found its mark. The mark shattered. Darius howled as the centuries caught up to him. His flesh withered. His soul was dragged into the pit from which he drew power. The Illuminati fled into the woods, screaming ancient curses. Epilogue: The Broken Flame. St. Aurelius Cathedral burned that night. Lilith walked into the flames and emerged unscathed, the shattered mark glowing faintly on her palm. She now wanders the earth, hunted by the remnants of the Order of Tammuz. Each town she visits, she uncovers secrets, liberates the innocent, and leaves behind whispers of fire and vengeance. Some call her a witch. Others, a savior. But all fear the day she comes to a church near them, with quiet footsteps and burning eyes, seeking the last flickers of the Illuminati's flame. For she is not just the daughter of Darius. She is the end of the bloodline. Before he was Father Darius, he was Darian Vel, a soldier, a man of deep faith, until war tore his spirit apart. As he knelt among the burning ruins of a Balkan village, he cursed God aloud, bloody hands trembling. That night, a stranger came in robes of shadow and offered something far more tangible than mercy, power. The pact was signed not in ink, but with a blade across his palm. His blood sizzled on the stone tablet. Thus began his transformation. For 30 years, Father Darius ruled over the cathedral at Raven Rock like a king over his kingdom. The sick were healed in his presence. The lame walked. The dead seemed to stir when he prayed. He was admired, worshipped, feared. And every 10 years, during the blood moon, a mother and her child disappeared. 12 rituals. 12 souls. And yet, no one asked questions. The townspeople whispered, but never loudly. The walls of St. Aurelius watched but never spoke. Until Lilith came back. Lilith, daughter of Darius and Mara, escaped the blade. Raised in secrecy and protected by rites older than the church, she returned under the name Sister Miriam. She moved like a ghost through the chapel halls, learning, watching. When the blood moon approached again, Lilith struck, unmasking herself during the ritual meant for another innocent girl. She fought her father with steel and sorcery, and won. She shattered the mark of Tammuz. Darius was lost to the pit. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. While the world believed Lilith was the only surviving child, there was one more, conceived during a mission trip in Ghana, 25 years earlier. Her name was Amma. And she bore Darius's son, Ezekiel. Amma died during childbirth. Ezekiel was raised by a humble minister in Accra who never told him of his true parentage. But the boy had strange gifts. By age 10, he healed a blind woman. At 15, he was already preaching. By 20, he was known throughout Africa as the voice of thunder. He never knew why he was gifted. Until one night, a burning figure appeared in his dream, his sister, Lilith, crying for help. The darkness is returning. You are the light it fears. Come to Raven Rock. Though Darius had been cast into the abyss, the Illuminati survived. Leaderless, yes, but hungry. They found a way to resurrect a shade of Darius through forbidden rites. Not fully alive, not fully dead, a spiritual parasite, a wraith of ash. This version of Darius had no soul. Only rage. He haunted Raven Rock, feeding on fear, gathering strength. And he remembered Lilith. Ezekiel arrived in Raven Rock days before the new blood moon. He found a broken city. Shadows moved without wind. People dreamed in ancient tongues. And Lilith, now in hiding, was weaker than ever, her powers fading after the battle. The siblings met at the chapel ruins, blood calling to blood. You have the gifts too, Lilith whispered. But they're not from him. Ezekiel nodded. No. Mine are, pure. I don't know why. But I think he's watching me. They joined forces, but their enemy was no longer flesh. Darius was now smoke and whisper, moving through cracks in the world, wearing stolen faces. The blood moon rose again. The Illuminati circled the ritual grounds. This time, they wanted both Lilith and Ezekiel to die, brother and sister, fire and light, the last of the bloodline. But Ezekiel stood firm. Clutching an ancient Bible and his mother's pendant, he entered the chapel alone. The ghost of Darius appeared, writhing with power, his voice 1,000 screams. You are my son. My legacy. Ezekiel's eyes glowed golden. I am not your legacy. I am your end. He dropped to his knees and prayed, not words of wrath, but of forgiveness, mercy, and truth. The ground shook. The stained glass repaired itself. The altar bled light. And then, it happened. He reversed the pact. By invoking true divine authority, Ezekiel unwound the curses, freed the 12 souls sacrificed, and burned the name of Tammuz from the world's memory. The Illuminati's power evaporated. The wraith of Darius shrieked. But in his final moment, he looked at his son and fell to his knees. Do you think he could ever forgive me? Ezekiel, trembling, placed his hand on the spirit's burning chest. I think he already has. When morning came, St. Aurelius Cathedral stood again, cleansed, its bells ringing for the first time in a century. Lilith wandered on, her power returned but her vengeance laid to rest. Ezekiel remained in Raven Rock, now a true shepherd. He rebuilt not just the church, but the hearts of the people. He never used his power for glory. Only grace. They say miracles happen there even now, real ones. And that sometimes, when the wind blows through the forest, you can hear a voice whisper, "By the blood, by the price? I am forgiven." Thank you so much for watching interesting stories of Moody Tales. Kindly like, subscribe and share to get more interesting stories that's much better than this. Best wishes from here.